My name is Jessica Chen, and I'm 24 years old. What happened when my parents received that gold embossed invitation last month is something that completely transformed their understanding of priorities, family loyalty, and which daughter they should have been supporting all along. Picture this. My mother and father sitting at their kitchen table, staring at an invitation that had arrived in a thick, expensive envelope, their faces growing paler as they realized they were begging for an invitation to an event hosted by the same daughter whose college graduation they'd skipped to spend $15,000 on my sister's birthday trip to Paris. You see, that moment when they saw my name embossed on the invitation as the host wasn't just recognition, it was the crushing realization that their less important daughter had achieved something so significant that securing an invitation to her celebration had become their most pressing social need. The same parents who had told me a year earlier that my graduation wasn't that big of a deal were now desperately calling me, explaining why they absolutely had to attend an event that would determine their standing in our entire community. Why? Before we dive into this story, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy stories about family priorities coming back to haunt the people who made them. Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. I love connecting with people who understand that sometimes the most satisfying revenge is simply becoming successful enough that people who ignored you start begging for your attention. Let me take you back to that devastating day 13 months ago when I learned that my college graduation, the culmination of 4 years of academic excellence, and the achievement I'd been looking forward to sharing with my family, would be competing with my sister Ashley's 21st birthday celebration, and losing. I was in my senior year apartment, 3 weeks before graduation, putting the finishing touches on my thesis when Mom called with news that would shatter my expectations about family support and priorities. "Jessica, we need to talk about graduation weekend," she said, her tone carrying that hesitant quality that always preceded disappointing news. "What about it? I sent you all the details weeks ago. The ceremony is Saturday at 2 p.m. and I made dinner reservations for afterward. That's what we need to discuss. Ashley's birthday falls that same weekend, and she's planned something very special to celebrate turning 21. My stomach dropped. Ashley, my younger sister by 3 years, had always been the family favorite, the social butterfly who effortlessly attracted attention and made every occasion revolve around her needs and desires. "Mom, it's my graduation. We've been planning this for months." "I know, sweetheart, but Ashley has arranged a trip to Paris with her friends, and she really wants us to be part of it. She's been planning this for her 21st birthday since she was 18. A trip to Paris? During my graduation weekend? She found this incredible package deal. Flights, hotels, restaurant reservations at these amazing places. She's put so much thought and effort into making this trip perfect for her milestone birthday." I sat there processing what she was telling me. My sister had decided her birthday celebration was more important than my graduation, and my parents were seriously considering abandoning my ceremony to join her Paris adventure. "Mom, I graduate once. This is the culmination of 4 years of college. Ashley can celebrate her birthday any weekend, but I can't reschedule my graduation ceremony." "Jessica, you're being a little selfish about this. Ashley's 21st birthday is also a once-in-a-lifetime milestone. And honestly, we've been to graduations before. They're all pretty much the same, walking across a stage, getting a diploma. This Paris trip is something unique and special. Graduations are all pretty much the same." My mother had just reduced 4 years of academic achievement, magna cum laude honors, and the proudest moment of my educational journey to a routine ceremony that wasn't worth attending. "Have you already decided to go to Paris?" I asked, though her tone had already given me the answer. "We haven't finalized anything yet, but Ashley is really counting on us being there. She's specifically planned activities that include us, made reservations at restaurants she thought we'd love, researched museums, and experiences we could share as a family." "And my graduation? You're graduating no matter whether we're there or not. The achievement is yours regardless of who's in the audience. But Ashley's birthday celebration only happens if we participate. She needs us to make it special." The logic was twisted but clear. My achievement would exist without their presence, but Ashley's celebration required their participation to be meaningful. Therefore, Ashley's needs took precedence over my milestone. "What if I asked you to choose me this time?" I said quietly. "What if I said that having my family at my graduation was more important to me than Ashley's Paris trip is to her?" The pause that followed was long enough to be an answer by itself. "Jessica, that would be asking us to disappoint Ashley on her most important birthday." We can celebrate your graduation when we get back. Maybe we could have a nice dinner, just the four of us. A nice dinner afterward. My college graduation, the event I'd been anticipating as the proud culmination of years of hard work, reduced to a consolation dinner after they returned from celebrating my sister's birthday in Europe. How much is this Paris trip costing? I asked, already knowing the answer would sting. That's not really relevant to the decision. I'd like to know what my graduation is competing against in terms of financial investment. Hotel, meals, and experiences Ashley has planned. $15,000. They were willing to spend $15,000 on my sister's birthday weekend, while treating my graduation as an optional event that wasn't worth their presence. Have you considered that I might be hurt by this choice? Of course we have, and we feel terrible about the timing conflict. But Jessica, you're mature and independent. You understand that sometimes family decisions are complicated. Ashley is younger and needs more support right now. Ashley needs more support. My sister, who had never held a job, whose college expenses were fully funded by our parents, and whose social calendar was more important than my academic achievements, who had worked 2 part-time jobs throughout college and was graduating with honors. The conversation ended with them asking me to be understanding about their choice, and promising to celebrate my graduation properly when they returned from Paris. But we both knew that celebrating something after choosing to miss it was meaningless, like trying to apologize for an injury after deliberately inflicting it. 3 weeks later, I walked across that graduation stage to receive my diploma magna cum laude in economics, with my best friend's parents cheering for me from the audience, while my own parents were posting photos from the Eiffel Tower on Seoul Tower. Social media. The hurt of their absence was profound, but it was also motivating in a way they could never have anticipated. Sitting alone at the restaurant where I'd made reservations for a family celebration that never happened, I made a decision that would define the next year of my life. I would build something so significant that when they wanted to be included, their attendance would be a privilege they'd have to earn rather than an expectation they could take for granted. If you've ever had your achievements overshadowed by family members whose wants were treated as more important than your accomplishments, type graduated alone in the comments. What comes next is going to show you exactly how powerful motivation can be when it's born from being overlooked at your proudest moment. The year following my graduation was unlike anything I'd ever experienced in terms of focus, determination, and strategic career building. While my parents shared photos from Ashley's elaborate birthday celebration and talked about what a magical time they'd had in Paris, I was working 18-hour days building something that would eventually command their attention, whether they wanted to give it or not. My economics degree had prepared me for traditional corporate roles, but I'd spent my senior year developing a business plan for a financial consulting firm that would serve small businesses in underserved markets. The idea had grown from my part-time work helping local shop owners organize their finances during college, work that had shown me how many successful small businesses struggled with financially planning, not because they lacked money, but because they lacked access to affordable expertise. Most financial consultants focused on high net worth clients or large corporations, where the fees justified their time. But I'd identified a massive market of profitable small businesses that needed sophisticated financial guidance but couldn't afford traditional consulting rates. My model involved technology-supported consulting that could deliver high-quality financial planning at a fraction of typical costs, while still generating substantial revenue through volume. The first 6 months after graduation were spent developing proprietary software, obtaining necessary certifications, and building relationships with potential clients in 3 metropolitan areas. I lived in a studio apartment, drove my college car, and invested every dollar I earned back into the business while my parents remained focused on Ashley's social activities and academic progress. By month 9, I had 43 active clients generating $127,000 in annual revenue. By month 12, I had 156 clients across 6 states and had hired 2 additional consultants to handle the growing demand. The business was not only profitable but was attracting attention from industry publications and potential investors who saw the scalability of our model. But the real breakthrough came when the Regional Small Business Development Association invited me to present our model at their annual conference, the same conference that would be attended by every major business leader, politician, and economic development official in our region. The conference wasn't just any professional gathering. It was the premier business event in our state, attended by governors, senators, Fortune 500 CEOs, and the kind of people whose presence at any event signified its importance. Being selected as a featured presenter meant recognition as one of the most innovative business minds in our region. More importantly for my purposes, it meant that declining an invitation to the presentation and reception would be social and professional suicide for anyone who wanted to maintain standing in our community's business and political circles. When I received the formal invitation to present, I realized this was the perfect opportunity to demonstrate exactly what my parents had missed by choosing Ashley's birthday over my graduation. But I wanted the revelation to happen in a way that would maximize their understanding of what they'd overlooked. I arranged for the conference organizers to send personalized invitations to selected local business leaders, politicians, and community figures, presenting the event as an exclusive celebration of innovation and economic development. The invitations were elegant, expensive, and clearly indicated that attendance was by special invitation only. My parents, who had built their social lives around being included in important community events, received their invitations 3 weeks before the conference. The gold-embossed envelopes contained formal invitations to attend an exclusive reception and presentation featuring Jessica Chen, founder and CEO of Precision Financial Consulting, recognized as one of the region's most innovative young entrepreneurs. Mom called me within hours of receiving the invitation, her voice a mixture of excitement and confusion. "Jessica, we received this beautiful invitation to some kind of business conference. It mentions your name as the featured presenter. Is this connected to your work somehow? I'm the keynote presenter at the Regional Small Business Development Association's annual conference." "You're the keynote presenter? At a conference with all these important business leaders and politicians? The organization selected me to present our consulting model as an example of innovative approaches to small business development." "Jessica? This invitation. It looks incredibly formal and exclusive. How did you get selected for something like this?" The question revealed everything about their assumptions regarding my capabilities and achievements. They couldn't understand how their daughter, the one whose graduation hadn't been worth attending, could be important enough to headline a prestigious business conference. I was selected because I built a successful company that's changing how small businesses access financial consulting services. A successful company? Jessica, when did you start a company? 13 months ago. Right after graduation. The silence that followed was heavy with realization. While they'd been celebrating Ashley's social milestones, their other daughter had been building something substantial enough to earn recognition from the region's most important business leaders. "We had no idea you were running a company," Mom said weakly. I tried to share updates about my business development, but the conversations usually shifted to Ashley's college activities or social events. "But Jessica, this invitation makes it sound like you're some kind of major entrepreneur. Are you really important enough that all these business leaders and politicians want to hear you speak? Important enough that declining to attend would be professionally damaging for anyone who wants to maintain relevance in our business community? We absolutely have to attend this conference," she said quickly. "Jessica, you understand that, right? We cannot miss this event." The desperation in her voice was unmistakable. Missing my graduation had been acceptable because graduations were all pretty much the same. But missing a prestigious business conference where their daughter was the featured presenter would be social suicide. "I'll need to check with the organizers about availability," I said. "It's an exclusive event, and I'm not sure there are still seats available." "Jessica, you have to get us in. This is incredibly important. Everyone we know will be there, and if we're not included, it will look terrible. Like how it looked when you missed my graduation?" The parallel was unmistakable and intentional. They were now in the position I'd been in a year earlier, begging family to prioritize their needs over competing interests. "That was different," she said defensively. "That was a scheduling conflict between two important events. And this is a scheduling conflict between your desire to attend and the limited availability of an exclusive invitation. But Jessica, we're your parents. Of course we should be there to support your achievement." "Like, you supported my graduation achievement?" The conversation continued for another 20 minutes, with Mom explaining why their attendance at my conference presentation was essential for our family's reputation, while simultaneously defending their absence from my graduation as understandable given the circumstances. But what she didn't realize was that I'd specifically requested that my parents be included on the invitation list, ensuring they would be invited while creating the impression that their attendance was a privilege they needed to secure her than an automatic entitlement. 2 days later, Dad called with a different approach. Jessica, your mother told me about this business conference where you're presenting. I want you to know how proud we are of what you've accomplished. Are you? Because a year ago you didn't think my accomplishments were worth attending. That graduation situation was unfortunate timing. We should have handled that better. You chose Ashley's birthday trip over my graduation ceremony. That wasn't unfortunate timing, that was a clear statement of priorities. And we've regretted that decision. Which is why it's so important that we be there for this conference presentation. We want to show our support for your success. Dad, do you understand what I've built over the past year? Your mother mentioned you started some kind of consulting business. I built a company that serves over 150 small businesses across 6 states, generates substantial revenue, and has been recognized by industry leaders as an innovative model for expanding access to financial services. That's incredible, Jessica. Why didn't we know about this? Because when I tried to share business updates, you were focused on Ashley's college social life and extracurricular activities. My work wasn't interesting enough to warrant detailed discussion. We're interested now. Now that other important people are interested. The truth of that statement hung between us. Their sudden interest in my achievements wasn't based on recognizing my work's value. It was based on other people recognizing that value first. The conference presentation took place on a Saturday afternoon, exactly 1 year and 2 weeks after my graduation ceremony. The ballroom was packed with 400 business leaders, politicians, and community figures, all of whom had come to hear about innovative approaches to small business development. My parents sat in the front row, having secured their exclusive invitations and arranged their schedules around what they now recognized as the most important business event of the year. Watching them in the audience, dressed formally and paying rapt attention to every word of my presentation, I couldn't help but think about the empty seats at my graduation ceremony. The presentation was a success beyond anything I'd anticipated. The audience responded enthusiastically to our consulting model. Several major investors approached me afterward about expansion opportunities, and 3 different news outlets requested interviews about our approach to democratizing financial services. But the most satisfying moment came during the reception afterward, when I overheard my parents talking to other attendees. Yes, Jessica is our daughter, Mom was saying proudly to a group that included 2 state senators and a Fortune 500 CEO. We've been so proud watching her build this incredible company over the past year. So proud watching her build this incredible company. The same company they'd known nothing about until receiving an exclusive invitation to hear me present it. You must be thrilled to have such an innovative entrepreneur in the family, one of the senators replied. We are, Dad agreed. Jessica has always been exceptional. We knew she was destined for great things. Always been exceptional. Destined for great things. From the parents who had missed my graduation because it wasn't as important as my sister's birthday party. After the conference, we went to dinner at the city's most exclusive restaurant, the same restaurant where I'd eaten alone after my graduation ceremony a year earlier. But this time I was the center of attention, with my parents asking detailed questions about my business, my expansion plans, and my vision for the company's future. Jessica, we owe you an apology, Mom said as we waited for dessert. We should have been at your graduation, and we should have been paying attention to what you were building this past year. What changed your perspective, seeing how other people react to your achievements? Realizing that while we were focused on Ashley's social activities, you were building something that impressed the most successful people in our region. So my work only became valuable when other people recognized its value? That's not what I meant. That's exactly what you meant. A year ago, my graduation wasn't worth attending because graduations are all pretty much the same. But tonight you couldn't miss my presentation because everyone important would be there. You're right. We measured your achievements by the wrong standards, and we missed recognizing something extraordinary. The conversation marked a turning point in our family dynamic. My parents started asking regular questions about my business, celebrating client acquisitions and expansion milestones, with the same enthusiasm they'd always shown for Ashley's social achievements. 6 months later, when my company was featured on the cover of Regional Business Monthly as the year's most innovative startup, my parents framed the magazine and displayed it prominently in their home. The same parents who had dismissed my graduation as routine were now bragging to everyone about their daughter, the successful entrepreneur. But the most meaningful change came when Ashley's next birthday approached. Instead of planning elaborate celebrations that would conflict with other family priorities, my parents specifically asked what business events or commitments I had that weekend, ensuring that Ashley's party wouldn't interfere with my work schedule. The daughter whose graduation they'd skipped had become the daughter whose calendar determined family planning. 2 years after that empty graduation ceremony, I was invited to speak at the state's Economic Development Summit, attended by governors, federal representatives, and Fortune 100 executives. This time, my parents didn't wait for an exclusive invitation. They asked months in advance if they could attend to support my presentation. "We don't want to miss another important moment in your career," Mom explained when she called to ask about tickets. "Like you missed my graduation, exactly like that. We learned that your achievements deserve our presence whether or not other people recognize their importance." The parents who had ignored my graduation to spend thousands on my sister's birthday had learned that begging for invitations too. Their daughter's success was a much less dignified position than simply showing up to support her achievements. From the beginning, sometimes the most powerful response to being overlooked isn't anger or resentment. It's building something so significant that the people who dismissed you start competing for your attention. And sometimes the sweetest revenge is simply becoming successful enough that an invitation from you becomes something they can't afford to refuse. What achievements have your family overlooked while focusing on someone else's social milestones? What success have you built after being told your accomplishments weren't worth celebrating? Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever graduated alone while family celebrated someone else's birthday, you're not alone. Comment worth celebrating if you believe all family achievements deserve equal recognition. Share this story with someone who needs to know that being overlooked at your proudest moments can become the motivation for building something undeniable. Subscribe and hit the notification bell for more stories about family priorities, career vindication, and the moment when people who ignored your success start begging for your attention. I'd love to know, should families prioritize milestone celebrations equally, or is it natural that some events get more attention than others? Let me know in the comments. Remember, your achievements don't require their presence to be real, but when they start begging for invitations to celebrate what they once ignored, it proves that success is the best response to being undervalued.